Where's Damien? Oh, did Damien drop out? Oh no, there he is. Damien, I was going to say, I think it's funny how, I don't know if you noticed this, but we always end our Q&A calls with you.
Oh, really?
Have you noticed that?
Save the best for last.
I was going to say, you're like that disciple who takes the lowest seat at the table. Jesus is like, the last shall be first and the first shall be last.
I love it. Or we're
True.
just doing a round table and I'm sitting right next to you.
There we go. We're all equals, huh? Table of one.
Love it. My question actually is probably more of, I wanted to get your opinion on or get some ideas around this, because I have to admit, like Aaron, like you really have brought me back to my roots of my innocence of Christ consciousness. I shared with you before growing up in the Catholic community and growing up, and I really got into a lot of it, but I had my own sexuality and things, and my beliefs in science and everything that kind of conflicted with the Christian upbringing, fundamentalist type of thing. And it was really hard for me to resolve the hellfire and brimstone type of rhetoric.
As it should be.
And now I'm finding and struggling because I feel as though sometimes people are like, oh, are you being spiritual Christian? Like I get these others where they're like, so do you believe in God, Damien, now? Is this like the bearded man in the sky? Damien? What's that?
Are you becoming religious, Damien?
Yeah, things like that. And so I kind of wanted to get your opinions and understanding about where you do have a lot of this expansions of consciousness across the globe. It's at such a intense rate now, which is pretty amazing and awesome. But also there's an intense rate of de-evolution as well. And I can't help but to cross-reference some old teachings of yesteryears, and I don't know what to believe, not to believe. I maybe am not into that part of the Course of Miracles, who knows? But I wanted to know, like, what is this level of expansion that we're going through, and what are some things that you've seen through the Law of One teachings, and some of the things that, how do we allow ourselves to move through this without also being pulled down by a lot of humanity that is caught in their egoic. Like, they're just unfortunate. There'll be some of those that will go their entire lives just being pulled by their ego. As much as I cry for them, I can't say or do anything. I have to leave that up to God and the universe here. But like, how do you still surf that wave? And what are we going through in this sense from what you've been learning?
Yeah. You know, the Course defines a miracle as a shift in perception from fear to love. And so all healing really is a shift in perception. And even the idea that the world is getting worse, that needs to be healed by a shift in perception. And the shift to me is realizing that there's no such thing as de-evolution. The universe doesn't de-evolve, it just evolves. But the ego will interpret, negative reactions from people as, oh, they're getting worse. And, the evolutionary survival-based mind can only think that way. That's okay. But for you to realize, beyond the evolutionary mind, for you to realize, no, that is them evolving. All this sort of crazy psychotic behavior we see, the insanity in the world right now, that is supreme guru life triggering, putting the fire under their butt, so to speak, to bring out the vasanas and the karmas in them. As we were talking about with Patty just now, people come into this life with a bunch of baggage from previous lifetimes, a bunch of unhealed karma, a bunch of vasanas, unmet desires that need to be worked out. And as long as those people are not aware and can sort of take the reins themselves and begin doing healing work, life will keep the conveyor belt moving by just bringing them, law of attraction, bringing them stimulus to trigger those vasanas, to trigger those karmas, to force them to acknowledge it and do something about it. And whether their choice to do something about it is to get more angry at it and more volatile and more separate, That's a valid experience too. And that's going to lead them to more and more suffering until they get to their breaking point. And actually, I've seen a lot of people recently sort of quietly leaving the sort of like radical left ideology of hate everyone that's different than you and oppose everyone that disagrees with me. People are starting to see the insanity of that and how it just leads to more and more of the same problem. It perpetuates the problem, and they're kind of quietly shifting away from that belief system. And I don't mean they're shifting to the right side of the political spectrum. I mean, they're changing their thinking, period. And so can we say that they shouldn't have done that, right? Like they shouldn't have been so insane all that time. Well, that was what they needed to finally eventually wake up. And life brought that to them and delivered that to them. So at the end of the day, the fact that you wake up is the point, and everyone is moving one step closer to that. But sometimes it looks like to the ego, they're moving away from it. If their behavior is not based in love, spiritual ego will say, oh, wow, they're getting worse. But it reminds me of a passage where Jesus says, the one where he says, lay up not for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. And he's pointing to this idea of like, give your future self the gift of freedom now. Like whatever you gain, the material things you gain in this lifetime, whether status, fame, or money, possessions, all of it is impermanent. He wasn't really saying like, hey, be concerned that people are going to steal from you. He was saying, be concerned that you're spending all this time and energy on things that are passing and have no lasting value, right? Lay up instead treasures that last forever, meaning the freedom you gain now translates to your next lifetime. It's like, oh, that's a gift worth giving myself, right? So see that everyone is doing that, whether they know it or not. That's the grace of life, the grace of the guru, is it's not infringing on their free will by forcing them to become spiritual and loving, but it is giving them all the experience and contrast they need to make the decision really obvious. Like, wow, I've tried this road for a long time. It hasn't worked very well. I'm open to a new possibility. Maybe love is the answer. And that's the fourth density shift that collectively we're moving into. We can't really move into that vibration without purging away the third density stuff. And that's simply what we're seeing happening. And so you have to just love that, allow that, and know that it's absolutely the divine will unfolding.
God damn it, Aaron. Jesus Christ. You did it again. Saying this, it just dawns on me like, so speaking of that, like, sorry if I'm going to get emotional here because damn. Because me and my younger brother have been estranged for like a decade. He has been on a path that like is like he got involved with just bad groups, drugs and all of this, like, and my parents have had a huge challenge with him. And he said like, and it's just like as bad as the pandemic is or what's going on and everything, I'm grateful for it because it was the one thing that made him lose his job. And so he had nothing to do but just stay home and deal with the insanity of his mind. And it was because he was like, I asked him one day and I'm like, I don't know, you like, what are you doing? What do you want? And he goes, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure my stuff out. And I'm like, what are you doing, Damien? How are you so like calm and collected through this? I'm like, I don't know. I've just been turning inward, just really turning inward and asking that question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And so he was like, oh man, can you give me something to like, I know he wasn't a big reader and stuff. I'm like, here, listen to this guy. He's been great. He has a lot of good stuff on spiritual guidance, and he speaks it very plain and flat, and that you can understand succinctly. And it's not all the mumbo jumbo things that you can comprehend. And he goes, okay. And he was like, just blown away. And he was like, man, like, he goes, I can't believe that like all this time I thought God hated me. And he's like, this man has really helped me to like see that it was just me that was hating me. God has always been there. And through this whole fall and even into the winter, we've been talking every other day for like an hour, 2 hours. And I just never realized that you were just saying that, like, we are all evolving, and it takes us to go through this. Thank you. It's tough, but like fucking beautiful too. It's fucking beautiful just to see the true power of that love, which is amazing. So yeah, we are channeling it, and thank you.
Thank you, man. You got me, bro.
No, and I should, because like I didn't realize it until it just said it, and it was that missing puzzle that like brought it all together, and like all this like, and it was the one thing I asked at the end of this, at the beginning of this year. I'm like, I would love to have a relationship again with my younger brother. God fucking damn it. Look at that.
So life just kind of needed to put your brother through the fire for a bit. So he was at the place where he was available for this relationship, huh?
Yeah.
So it was all a kiss from grace.
Yeah. So like I just shared it with him 2 days ago. I'm like, listen, I don't know about you, but like this, because my parents they're so super paranoid, like everything. And he goes, just you and me. He's like, just between you and me. He goes, I'll have 2 or 3 more pandemics to have this relationship again with you. It's like,
oh my goodness. That is so beautiful.
yeah.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Man. That's it. It's like when you become awakened to the truth of reality without all of your egoic filters and contaminations on it, you just, everywhere you look, you see this just divine aching beauty in everything. The ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the divine is in all of it, permeating all of it. It cannot be escaped. It cannot be separated from you. It can't be estranged from you. And what you thought was estranged from you was what your brother was not. It was his not self that you felt estranged from. His real self has always been one with you. And you connect with that in the place of love. And whether it's a person you've lost, their physical body has passed on, or a relationship that is, estranged at the moment, I've found you can connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime that you love by connecting to the love you feel for them. Like literally in your heart, feel the love you feel for that being. And it's as if they're sitting in the room right next to you. And it makes no difference to you anymore if their physical body's there or not. It makes no difference if your brother's in the other side of the country, he hates you, he's judging you or whatever. That makes no difference to you anymore. In love, everything is seen clearly. It's like, oh, whatever my brother is separating himself from me for is unreality. It's not true. It's ignorance, it's blindness. And so I don't hold that against him. And eventually the light of truth will dawn and he will see that I love him and he loves me. And whatever it takes life to bring him to that place is a gift. It's life working out his karma so that we can have this oneness experience together. And that's just so beautiful, man.
Yeah, thank you. Like it's mind-boggling. Like we still talk. I can't believe we went a whole decade without really connecting. We just said we would never have been friends outside of just other than our blood relationship. But like from that, we now talk about some of the things we were as little kids, and also we are able to talk about some of the our perceptions and triggers with our parents. And he is now coming to the part. He was like, all this time I was blaming mom and dad for that, but like they were just doing the best that they could.
Wow. He's waking up, huh?
Yeah.
That kind of an insight. That's a rare one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, thank you, man.
Thank you, Damien.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be this vulnerable. So, but you naturally
I love
pull it
about
out in
you, man.
this.
That's what I love about you, bro. You always show up authentically and transparently, and we all benefit from it. So thank you, man.
Yeah.
You got everyone choked up. I see on the comments, everyone in the little squares is like, ah.